everyone, hello amici, here for the Three Ways, our podcast with Glenn Rottmann, and Sandy Ames. It's always so much fun talking live because we can share amazing topic together, and today I was thinking about what about law of attraction. As many friends ask me always to be introduced to other friends, to be connected, why people in today's world are struggling so much to attract what they want. Hi Sandy, hi Glenn, how are you?
We all
Hello.
were white. How did that happen? Who said hello?
I don't like it.
This is
Well,
beige.
it's coming.
It's okay. Well, you make it glow. You make it glow.
Make it
You-
glow.
Anyway, whatever. Okay, so listen. We're gonna start out, if it's okay with you guys, with a dad joke specifically for Glenn. Come here, Bode. Can we do that?
Wait, which one?
Right?
I'm a man.
Okay.
But Bodie told me this the other day. Bodie
Hello.
told me this the other day, and I said, please share this with Glenn. He'll love it.
All
It's
right.
a dumb dad joke.
All right. So after every sentence I say I'm a man, okay?
Okay.
You go to the bar.
I'm a man.
You see a hot chick.
I'm a man.
You sleep with her.
I'm a man.
I'm a
And
man.
in the morning she says,
I'm a
Uh,
Loved it, thank you.
you're welcome.
that's good.
Thank
That's
you.
good.
That's so good.
Yes, he has one more.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
What's the scariest plant in the rainforest?
I'm a man.
Bamboo!
Bamboo!
Okay.
I
I
love
was
you.
I was
Bye.
searching for it.
Thank you.
I was searching
We loved
for it.
it.
Love it.
Thank you.
All right. So you're talking law of attraction stuff, right?
Sì. So, guys, if you want, because many friends are asking me, as I'm a very good connector, as many people are indeed, to be introduced by people, let's talk about law of attraction if you want. How do we attract what we want, and how do we know what we want? Because it's a very difficult question.
It's the easiest question. Gandhi answered it with one sentence. Be the change.
Esatto.
That's it. Done. Nothing else to know. Be it.
Yeah, but also to be open to yourself. So if you don't talk to yourself, how do you open up to the others? So people focus too much and pay attention too much on what others say, on what they expect from the self of. So there is this attention always focused on the outside, missing the best part, which is your inner self. So why don't you focus more on yourself instead of focusing on the outside? So it's very important to be the best that you can be, but not in reflection of others, or what you want to be. And doesn't matter what it is. And that's when we attract. It's very simple, but truly we have to practice because people are not aware of it yet.
I have a little different take than most people when it comes to this whole law of attraction business. So I think there's nothing that has been more watered down and over spiritualized than the law of attraction. So my belief, at least in my own life, I don't really put a lot of faith in the law of attraction. I see it as the law of creation, that we create our environment based upon our thoughts, our actions, not just sitting. There's something wrong with me because I haven't attracted this in my life. There's something wrong with me because this isn't in my life, you know? Or I always attract this type of relationship. I always attract this type of person. I always attract bad tasting boba like Jackie. I always attract these things. And I don't believe that's true. I believe we create, not.
Glenn, the way you describe the law of creation is closer to the actual definition. I think people are misunderstanding what law of attraction is, because then they think, oh, I'm responsible for creating a bad life. I attracted a bad life. It's my fault. And that's not the definition of law of attraction at all. Mm-hmm. It's simply focusing on what it is you do want not the lack of it. So if somebody's saying, well, if law of attraction is true, then I created my bad life, they're literally focusing on a bad life, you see. Yeah. So you're saying create your world. There is no part of law of attraction where they say be lazy. In fact, not only is there action, potentially there's more action, but it's inspired action. So let's bring it down to something very usable for people, very practical. If somebody is looking to make a decision, should I decide A or B? Law of attraction will tell me which to decide. No, that's not the definition of law of attraction, right? Because the way, and I'll get to the answer in a moment, but the way I'm hearing you say it, and I think a lot of people see it this way, you know the story of the guy who is in a boat wreck, a shipwreck, and so somebody comes by in a lifeboat and he says, come on, man, hop on. He says, oh, no, don't worry about it. I'm praying to God. God's going to save me. You guys go. Don't worry about it. Next lifeboat comes. Come on, man. We're the last lifeboat. You know, and don't worry about it. I'm praying to God. I believe in God. I'm praying to God. Right? So this happens. So the guy dies. And then he gets to heaven and he says to God, when he gets there, he's like, dude, what happened? I totally prayed to you. And God's like, yeah. And I sent you like 16 boats.
To be honest, Sandy, if you don't know what to choose between A and B, you don't want any of both, and you're still struggling of what you see on these A and B that you don't have yet, as it happened lots of times in my sessions.
That's exactly right. So now you see how this story gets us to the answer between A and B. You are still struggling. So people think law of attraction is God or attraction or source or universe or Abraham Hicks will bring me my answer. You see? Yeah. But the law of attraction comes in when you just make a decision, and all decisions are based on a lack of information. So it's okay. It's okay to make a mistake and make a new decision, right?
Yeah.
So whether you choose A or B, here's the answer based on law of attraction. It does not matter. A, stay with the person. B, break up. A, move to a different country. You know, B, get a new job. It doesn't matter which you choose, but here's law of attraction. When you choose, you must, this is what Francesca said, you must line up with your choice. Not the things you lost because you choose A, you didn't get B.
Yeah.
You're lining up with what you must line up with what you've chosen. And if you want to talk about the universe being something like God, right? People, right? There is no judgment if you've made a nice choice, a good choice, the right choice. There's no such thing. You're not a bad person. You're not a mean person.
Absolutely.
It's you have to get lined up with what you choose. There's plenty of action in that, but it's inspired action, not forced action.
Absolutely. And the inspiration comes also from the touch and the awareness you have of your sexual energy. Many people not being able to get inspired or to inspire themselves, they're not in touch with their true sexual energy, because many people look for pleasure outside of themselves. So having these inductions that make them feel pleasure, but truly the induction has to come within you, even alone. That's why we always talk, get the orgasm yourself, don't look for sex, even though sex is very important. Not to be selfish, but to truly discover pleasure within you. That doesn't mean that you have to do it alone. It means that pleasure is not only this, it is appreciating who you are for how you are. So the more you reject yourself, the more your sexual energy disappears, and you are not sexual, even though your mind looks very sexual. And then in the act of through sexual moment, you're actually a ghost and you don't know how to act because you're not truly sexual, if not for the thoughts that brought you there. So being truly sexual, it means being aware of yourself, but in every sense, not with the idea of it.
You are so right. You are
a lot of words.
I don't know if you've ever studied tantric sex, but I teach this often, right?
Yeah.
If you're interested in tantric sex, which is what you're talking about, fits right into that world. If you're interested and your partner's not, it doesn't matter. You still can do it. You still can do it.
many people are becoming too individualistic, Sandy. They use the vibrator instead of having sexual pleasure with people they love. So we have to create a balance within this, because there is nothing more beautiful than the exploration of sex within the two. As alone, we don't do what we do with the two. The problem is that people have too many restrictions, too many emotional barriers, which emotions are related to sexual energies too. And so basically, instead of living what they are and what they feel, they have this refrain energy that is basically entertaining the best part of making them feel alive, which is pure illness.
Yes. So I don't know how law of attraction got us right into the bed. But
I'm very so sex is energy, and it's not a secret. People know that I prefer, even though in the young age I explore whatever I like to explore. Nowadays, I preserve my energy. How do I give out my sexual energy? Through connection, through being present, activating my senses, creating. Why do I create anything I want with my hands or with my mind, as I'm very creative? Because I have lots of sexual energy, which is not dark. People see sex only within the act of sex, which is totally wrong. People sit in front of their computer dreaming of sex. Like this, you kill yourself.
Yeah. Well, so with bringing the law of attraction into what you're talking about, everything you're saying is right. If you're with a partner and he's not doing a good enough job to get you to your climax, where you think you should be sexually in that moment, what is it that you're attracting? You're attracting, this person is not doing a good job for me. That's what you are attracting, right? And if your thoughts are going in that direction, it's a mismatch to your dreams. So there's conflict within you. So you can't climax. You can't get there from there, right?
Yeah.
So if you're with your partner and he doesn't know what he's doing, and you say, one more time, do the ABCs forward and backwards with your tongue, please, and he still can't get that, right? Don't make it his job for you to find your connection with you. He can still be there doing ABCs or numbers, and don't worry about him. It's only when we feel connected with somebody intimately, it's not possible. It's that they hold a space for it, because it only is ever for them holding a space where you can find connection with you. Find it with you no matter what's going on with them.
Yeah. And also to fall into the trap of neediness and attachment within sex is mostly because we don't act upon it. We don't necessarily have to risk it all and lose our energy consuming it, but connecting in a tantric way is truly sexual, more than we can imagine. So people are shy, and we understand. People have emotional blocks, and we understand, but they just kill their sexual energy.
If you are not adoring and worshiping in the best way, seeing the light in your partner in a sexual moment, you're the one who's bad in bed. If you are not adoring them with all of your cells, with every part of your being, if you're not adoring them in that moment, you're the one who sucks in the bedroom. It's your fault. Yeah.
Also, if we think too much of sex and then within the action we don't know how to act, is mostly because of these emotional restrictions we've been creating within our essence. So emotions are so important to be expressed since the young age till the adult age. That's how you are freely sexually. You are free sexually if you expose your emotions. So it all starts from the emotions for me.
So Glenn, what are your thoughts?
Hey, you guys are going a mile a minute on this area. You're going a mile a minute. Oh, I think it comes down to a much simpler thing. It's just communicating with your partner. Communicating, being open, and being okay to feel uncomfortable with some of the things you're talking about. Expressing your needs and your wants in a way that doesn't make somebody else bad or wrong. And that's how you build that with someone. If we're talking about that, that's what it is. People think that we're just supposed to know. And nobody just knows. You got to communicate and not make somebody wrong or bad or think that they should have known already.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'll tell you about my friend. I won't tell you his name. He's gorgeous and sexy. He's the kind of guy that anyone, man or woman, would be really lucky to connect with that way. He's just a great person. Anyway, so this is a long time ago, and at the time I wasn't in a relationship with anyone, and he and I went out. It was so long ago, we were smoking cigarettes at the bar. Like that's how long ago it was. And he says to me, he's like, I don't understand. Like, what's wrong with me? You're not dating anyone. What's wrong with me? Why? So what? I'm a guy. I have a face with a mouth. Like, I've got hands. Like, well, I don't understand. Like, is it so bad? I'm like, yeah, it really is. It really is. And he says, well, like, okay, so if your eyes were closed and you were kissing a girl or kissing a guy, like, you could really tell the difference on like 1,000,000%. And he's like, well, he's like, can you teach me? Can you teach me how to kiss like a girl? I'm like, yeah, sure. So I said, all right, come here, show me what you got, right? And I was like, oh, no. No. And he's like, fine, just show me. I'm like, okay. And he was so aggressive, and he was so like, and I was like, ah. I said, okay, first of all, your mouth, like, you don't have to have the biggest football field for me to run around in. Like, it just needs to fit. Like, close your mouth a little bit, you know? And the other thing is, it's not a sword fight, you know? And he couldn't get it. So then I finally said, like, sort of putting it in, like, the pendulum the other way. I said, tell you what, just don't do anything. I'll lead it, okay? Don't do anything. Just sort of be there. Yeah. And it was beautiful because he still couldn't do nothing, right? So he was sort of listening. He just started listening, right? So it was like pretty good. And he's like, so now I'm a good kisser? I'm like, yeah. He's like, so you want to kiss me again? I'm like, no. So a week later, he calls me. He's so mad, right? He's really mad. He's like crying practically. He's like, you ruined my life. I'm like, what happened? He's like, I brought the hottest girl home and I did what you taught me. And she smacks me and says, kiss me like a man.
But why there is so much preparation about kissing, having sex? I think it starts from the act itself, and it transforms. It's like being perfect before doing a job. We do a job to learn. It's like for me, the beautiful part of learning is that you are in it and you start from zero. Because otherwise, if you are already perfect for it, why do you do it? I mean,
yes, you're exactly. So your point is it's the right one.
It's so complicated.
So people think, I think most people think that sex is about learning techniques, right? So I'm basically in this case saying I'm wrong and Francesca's right. Because I was very much trying to teach him a technique. Now, the technique I was trying to teach him was listening. But in order to do it, I had to pull him so far away from where he was that he never really got the concept of it, right? So, but Francesca's right in that you have to feel for it because it can't be about the techniques. And then techniques occur. And if we can transition into something that's exactly related in life, it's the same thing, because how you perform in bed is how you also do what I'm going to say next, which is sales. because
it's about
and
my opinion. Sex with someone is not the same with someone else,
right? But here watch this, because people think if I learn a technique then it's right, and it's right all the time, whether it's sales or in bed or anything in life. It's all the same. It's the same how you approach it. So I've been looking for different gyms where I can go with my son and we can do some more dynamic movement together. We went to a place yesterday and we took a class together. It was so much fun. We loved it. So as we were leaving, the guy at the front desk says to me, so how was class? I said, oh my God, it was great. And I told him all the reasons we loved it and then we got to do it together. He said, well, fantastic. So show me, which package do you want to sign up for? And I said, oh, I'm not going to do that yet, you know. And he said, well, tell me, what is standing in your way? I'm like, Jesus, did he get like the list of sales questions to memorize? And I said, I thank you so much for being considerate of the obstacles that may be in my life right now, but we're good. He said, if you leave right now without signing up for a package, the $100 savings is off the table. And I said, okay. And he said, so you can't leave right now. You have to sign up for a package. I said, I appreciate it. He said, tell me, what is in your way? And I said, listen, man, I got to go over my schedule in my head. He said, pull out your schedule right now. Let's do it. He came from the School of Sales Techniques. This is the second gym in a row that asked me the same questions. What might be in your way of coming here 3 times a week? And I'm like, oh my God, right? So what I really want to share is If we took all his techniques and threw them in the garbage and simply taught him one thing, Glenn, what's the word I'm going to say? The number one, whether it's hypnosis or sales, because those are the same thing. The best salespeople study hypnosis, and the best hypnosis people study sales. What is the number one thing that matters above all technique when it comes to your relationship with a client?
Well, you have a lot of words, Sandy. I have much less words than you. So out of one word, it could be a million. But the number one word would be rapport. Yeah.
For me, it would also be detachment from the emotions, because as you have to absorb as a coach, as a therapist, the emotion of the one expressing them, because you need to internalize them, being analytical, to have this detachment at the same time, so being empathetic and detached. Otherwise, you influence the therapy.
And so what you're talking about is two things. Not being attached to outcome, I agree. And also, if you notice this attachment to emotions, this sales guy at the front desk was completely taking it personally. And he couldn't get past
That's why
it. So, yeah.
I never do therapy to a lover or to, I would try, but or to my mom or to my sister. It's impossible, because we put them in a box and they put us in a box. So it's very important to understand that we cannot have the same approach to everyone as to individuals. Everyone is different. Everyone has to be treated different. Everyone has a different story.
Right. So, Glenn, as one of the best street hypnotists on the planet, you've got to get real people in real time live, and every person is different. Every situation is different. The people they're hanging out with in the moment are different. It's all, so if you were going to teach somebody how to be the best street hypnotist, there are about 3 techniques that you use, and that's it. It's not about the techniques. That's the easy stuff. Read a book. Everybody gets the techniques, but not everybody is a Glenn Rottmann. So and the answer is in rapport, but I would love to know, how would you teach that to somebody?
Yeah, it depends. It's not, I don't have a quick answer like that, because it takes, especially when you're doing, I know where you're going with it, but I don't have that simple of an answer. Developing the instant readability of somebody to do like this kind of work on the spot, that takes a while to develop. And actually, so does communication in relationships as well. That takes a while to develop, I don't have the answer for that, actually.
I don't think energy work. With the right energy, you are able to set someone in the best path, and in 1 minute you can understand the pattern if you ask the right question.
What's the right question?
It depends on what's communicated. Let's do an example. Let's give you an example.
Right.
Oh, am I coming up with an example? Okay, so
but don't use a lot of words.
Francesca, you are the salesperson. Because let's play
Yeah.
out yesterday. You are the salesperson. You know, if I walk out that door, you're never seeing me again. You lost that sale, okay? I just had a great class. I'm happy. So now, so you say, look, $100, blah, blah, blah. So I say to you, Francesca, salesperson, you're so lovely. I just don't respond well to pressure.
Okay. I understand you, Sandy, because you have not been listened when you were feeling under pressure in the past. I totally get you. Don't worry. Let's solve this immediately. That's it.
So what you did was rapport building. I understand.
I understand. So again, to be seen, understood is the first step for the person to be able not to feel judged, to do visualization, and to be able to be the observer of his own personality. It's all about, as we say with hypnosis, it's all about visualization. At the moment you're aware, you decide, it's your choice, because we are able to do anything we want as a choice. And how do we make a choice? If we are aware. Again, the same example, A, B, or within job relations, within love relations. If you are aware of what you have in front, if you are aware of yourself, you can choose. Otherwise, it will always be chaotic and you will die within you.
I feel like Glenn has a different answer.
I do. Sales It's about playing in every way. So if I did that to you and you were like, hey, I don't respond well under pressure, I'd be like, Sandy, that's exactly why you need to do this now, because then the pressure's off. Why say no when it sounds so good to say yes? Let's take the pressure off right now. Forgive me. Let's just go. You know?
I love it. I love it. I love it. So you get, and you're a good salesperson. You
Yes.
run sales teams. So I called my sales guru friend. Remember my friend Gabby? We were driving the bird home together.
Yes.
And he was the one who says if you do something 18 minutes a day, you've now done 100 hours a year.
Yeah.
And since that day, he's been working out 18 minutes a day. I got to tell you, I've seen him. He looks fantastic. So I called him and I said, all right, listen, I've got a question for the master. And he said, shoot. And I said, so he wasn't available, so I called you. But he's really good. So I gave him the situation, what happened. I said, so now I say to the guy, thank you so much. I just don't respond well to pressure. And he said, ooh, that's a good one. That's hard for a salesperson to come back to. And so this was Gabby's response, which I loved because he actually created a checkmate. He said, here's what I would say. He said, I completely understand because I feel exactly the same way. In fact, if I were you feeling pressured like that, I would walk out the door. I'm surprised you haven't walked out the door yet. And I want to thank you so much for holding that space to just stand here and carry on a conversation. Because now you've checkmated them. Because now you've made them a good person for not leaving.
Yeah.
Right? So I thought that was an interesting take on that. So I'm currently reading a book written by an FBI agent, and he talks about eliciting information from absolutely anyone. And it all comes down to, of course, rapport first. So he, in the book, teaches about how to get people's social security number. And I'm like, in this day and age, there's no way. And he said that he actually got it from people who were going through FBI training, who should know better than anyone. And he talked about how he did it. So I was like, I'm going to try it. So I was out at my little coffee shop, Lenwich, down the street, and they're like these old, sort of Italian guys I've been seeing there for years. We all just kind of show up at the same time. So one of my guys comes by and I'm like, hey, come here, tough guy. I said, where'd you say you were from? So he told me where he was from. So that gives you the first three numbers of their social security number. And I said, and I did the technique he used in the book. I said, you know how people use the last four digits of their social security number to get into the website if they forgot the password and whatever. We use it a lot, right? You're asked for that a lot. But nobody ever asks you for the middle two numbers. I bet you don't even remember them. I bet you don't even remember the middle two numbers of your. He's like, yeah, I do. I'm like, no, you don't. Boom, gives them to me, right? So I didn't tell him what I was doing. I didn't use sales techniques. I didn't say, what might be standing in the way of you telling me? No, it was all in rapport. And with him, right, individual for that person, he's a tough Italian guy. We're playing a game. I bet you don't remember, right? But he doesn't know what I'm doing. I got his entire social security number within 60 seconds flat, all by playing a game, and he didn't know what I was doing. And I was like, wow, I'm not going to do anything with that number, but wow. Yeah. And it all comes from just showing up and feeling for the situation. And once you make an A-B decision, I made a decision, I was getting it, but I didn't take it personally. I didn't take it personally no matter which way it went. I just saw getting the number.
People forget that being weak means blocking yourself. Being vulnerable means also letting it be whatever it is. So do we prefer to be weak and to be unsexy and to block ourselves to our growth, evolution, connection, and changes within job, relationships? Or do we want to be vulnerable and express our fears also, or our sensitive side and look super sexy? Because people still don't realize the difference. So can we give, guys, an example on how to be more vulnerable? That is, of course, is not about right and wrong. It's about being you, whatever it is.
You want to give one, or you're asking for one from Glenn?
Yeah, because people still ask me, what is being vulnerable? Because they ask me for advice within love. There are guys that don't know if they should call their girls or not. So they are always indecisive, even though there is so much passion. And so I always say, why? So this restlessness is coming from passion, maybe. Can also be not, but maybe yes.
So what? Vulnerable state, the giving up control. Somebody just said, I want to see this man, Glenn, do live hypnosis and we can see somebody in a vulnerable state live. If Prince, why don't you come on?
Yeah. Amazing.
Come on with us. That'd be good. And let's see. Some guy who needs a pet. Sandy, I think somebody needs a visa to be in our country.
Yeah. Thank you for using our podcast to ask you to get a visa. I guess if you learn how to kiss right, I can marry you.
Yeah.
I guess we do that. And somebody else earlier, I've lost the thing, but they said, we were talking about the scariest animal, or no, the scariest plant in the forest is bamboo. They said, what, do you see the comment? Can you still see it? They said the scariest plant in the forest is Francesca saying, I am a man.
I am a man when I'm strong, and I'm a woman when I'm sensitive. We all have the yin and yang, guys. Don't worry. Also, it's so surprising how people have so much more consciousness about love. We see guys sometimes kissing each other in the mouth. We see girls that even though they are not bisexual, they kiss themselves to, mouth to mouth. I think it's very beautiful to appreciate the touch and not to judge it, because at the end is a freedom of expression of the moment. I also kiss my girlfriend sometimes. I'm not bisexual, but that doesn't matter. Like, it's a moment of freedom, of expression. What's the problem with that?
Well, I choose not to express myself in that way with my buddies. I'm okay not expressing that. Very good.
Who cares? I mean, I see sometimes my friends kissing, and then a friend of mine, sorry friends, they come to me and say, oh my God, did you see what just happened? I said, what's the problem? We have, maybe because the more we reject it, the more we think we will do it, but we don't want to do it if we reject it so much. We have to remember that rejection can be protection, but also fear of wanting the same.
Yeah. I've gone through phases. I went through those phases of my life where I made out with everyone. And then I got to a point, and gay men are the best. But then I got to the point where I just don't want your germs. I got so far past it. It's like, it's not better. Like, the more you do it, you're like, yeah, I'm not getting to anything. It's kind of like digging in your salad for just one last raisin, and there's just no more raisins in there. Like, you're not going to find anybody better than what you already know you like. So, yeah, so I don't make out with people anymore. Like, you could try. So when we meet in person, Francesca, I'm not going to be that girl. Like,
yeah,
don't care.
but
Don't
also,
care.
yeah, love, we say always universal. Do we say things just to tell them, or do we mean what we say? Love is universal means that sometimes you are attracted to something. You can kiss a dog, you can kiss as a man, another man, just one night is fine. I mean, I don't think we should have so many barriers within exploration of senses.
Yeah. Oh, you know what though? But what I do love is Thai massage. I put my hands on everyone I know, and that I love. So it's connection through a different way, where I don't need to we don't need to share the holes, right? And it feels really safe. And something you said earlier, I wanted to mention this because I think this is a really powerful imagery for anybody, even if you're just tuning in and you missed the earlier part of the conversation. When it comes to connecting, being intimate, it's sort of related to the law of attraction, because attraction, yes, people, but when we rely on our partners, we know it's not going to go well, because we're seeing them not in their light. We're seeing them for what they're doing wrong. Okay. So here's the imagery that I love. And I just put this into a recent hypnosis that I recorded called The Ultimate Healing, from headaches to cancer to autoimmune disease.
Amazing.
It's blow your mind amazing. One of the images I have in there is, if you could imagine the fingertip of a magical healing angel gliding up your body. And as that fingertip glides up your body, lights turn on in your body, okay? Reimagine that now from a slight shift in perspective, and everything changes. Same magical angel, same magical fingertip. And as it glides the fingertip up your body, it's not bringing light into you. It's not putting the light into you. In fact, you've already got lights within you. And so as the fingertip glides up, your lights within get turned on. You feel the difference in that imagery? No longer are we reaching outside of ourselves to bring the healing in.
Exactly.
We as healers, if we're doing our job, and when I say healer, I mean if you do acupuncture for a living, if you're any kind of therapist for a living, if you do massage for a living, if you're a physical therapist, any healer, the only thing we're doing, if we're doing our job and we're all doing the same thing, is pointing them in the direction of their own healing. And so when we make that shift in the internal imagery for healing, even if it's healing anxiety, impulsive thoughts, okay, any kind of healing, if we have a belief that it comes from outside of us, we can never fully heal, you see. So we as healers point people to the fact that they already have that light. And so the finger just points to the light being turned on.
Yeah.
The cells already know what to do. And I gave this example to a client of mine who really just wanted some scientific facts. I said, when you look at what medicine does for the most part, it tells your brain what to do. It tells your brain to remember how to fix the thing. And she said, I don't know about that. And I said, well, let's take somebody who's dead. If you take a dead person and shoot that drug into that dead person's body, no changes are going to be made. They're going to stay dead. So a drug doesn't do the thing. A drug tells your brain to remember the thing it's supposed to do.
Yeah, exactly. It is pleasure coming from the mind, which is totally addictive because it's not truly felt within. It's not true exploration with your senses. That's why, let's imagine you meet someone when you are 10 years old and then when you are 14 years old. Even in the young age, as you open up differently and you grow your energy in different ways, you have different perception of the same person, which means it's the same within pleasure. So the more you open up to true pleasure, not having fear, not fearing it, the more you have pleasure within. So that's why it's very important to explore the outer world, being connected, because you have these informations in you and you keep these informations in you. If you are blocked emotionally, not only you don't feel what's outside, but you take inside all the bad triggers that have been warning you to explode, and you keep them inside. So there is no pleasure, and so you try with your mind to reach this pleasure because you are not able to open up and to receive it.
Yep. So whether it's sales, whether it's sex, or anything in between, when we reach outside to learn more and more and more techniques, we're not growing much at all. Those techniques will occur when we do that one thing. I have one sales video. It's less than 2 minutes. It's on my YouTube page. One sales video where it talks about if you only did this one technique, one, for the rest of your life, you'd be the best salesperson in the world. And it's this: choose one emotion. So in the video, I give the example of elation. When you purchase this product, you buy this phone. Well, we all have phones. Let's make it something you don't have. You buy this bracelet that says badass. Michelle Guzzi gave me this. She has the same one. When you buy this bracelet that says badass, the word is elation, right? The elation in looking at the sparkling colors when you're in the sunlight wearing it outside. The elation you feel. And in your mind, play imaginatively in the space of elation. Just meditate on elation. Feel for it in your body. See images and scenarios of elation. Do that for 5 minutes before you go to work. You will sell more bracelets than anyone because you will be informed by the emotion of elation when you are in a rapport way connecting with the person. Forget what is in your way of buying a badass bracelet. Oh my God, shut up. I can sniff stinky NLP from 1,000,000 miles away. Don't do it.
Yeah.
Rapport and emotion. Do that as your sales technique. Connect with people. And now you have opened up to the ability of listening because you're not trying to remember the rules of your technique.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, like what you said, I can sniff stinky NLP. I did a consultation some time back with one of the biggest gurus and his coaching team. And his coaching call person was like, so can you remember a time when you were on track? Can you bring back a memory of when you were doing that in your life? And I'm like, dude, you are reading this right out of the most basic book that has ever existed, and that's what you have. And it's like, come on. I'm a little more than that, you know? And it turned me off so much that it was just the basic NLP questions out of a book.
Yeah. Learn NLP and throw it in the garbage. It'll come to you. It'll come to you. But when people just start listing questions like that, you know they're not listening. You know they're not listening. They're just playing, they're reading a script.
I like what this, what Laws of Life Coaching said. The DNA already has healing, the healing formula. We just have to help find it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think it gets lost with all the crap that we eat and how we live our lives. You know,
Eating
none of us
emotionally with food, everything.
Yeah. None of us were meant to live our lives in a cubicle away from nature, working, you know, insane hours away from nature, being disconnected from the world, being tied to electronics, eating Jack in the Crack or Burger Crap or, you know, any of those places that we eat. And so we have the wrong foods in our body. We're out of nature. And so I think our cells do lose their way, how to heal. And that's why the work we do can be so beautiful and healing, to help remember where to find it. So I love that Laws of Life Coaching put that in there, because I definitely agree.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And the keyword would be regenerative, like AI, anything, even in tech. Regenerative is the keyword we should focus on, because we must adapt to the evolution, but is it regenerative or not? So
and when you talk about regenerative, yes, but be careful about thinking regenerating means I have to go out to get the building blocks to bring them in me, or I have to go in and do some busy work. No, regenerative is basking in a state of a release of resistance, which means meditation. And in your meditation, you don't have to fix your cells. They already know. You just get out of the way so they can do their job.
Yeah, and the less resistant you are, sometimes the better it is, out of your comfort zone.
Right. So when people say law of attraction's dumb, well, it is the resistance. I'll give you a very simple example. People say, all right.
I don't agree with it, but it's my personality, and people may be similar to me. I think resistance, it makes you unaware most of the times. Resistance is good within a meditation process, but along your daily life, the less resistant you are, the better it is, because that's how you step into situations and then learn from them.
Okay. Here's an example of law of attraction. Somebody says, I've never believed in law of attraction, but nothing else has worked. I've been wanting more money for a long time. Let me play this dumb game. It's free and I can do it instantly. Here we go. Here, watch me go. Hey, universe, I'd like some more money, please. I want some more money. See, I told you it didn't work. But they didn't, it's not your words. They didn't say, I want more money. What they said, the emotional state, which is the only thing that matters, it's your vibration. And that's not a made up thing. That's measurable. Your emotional state gives you a different frequency and then releases different chemicals in your body. So your emotional state matters. It's scientifically measurable. The emotional state going on is, I don't have enough money. So the universe, with no judgment, there's no good, bad, right, wrong. The universe says, oh, not enough money. Here's more not enough money. Here's more not enough money. And then one day they're accidentally in a good mood because the conditions were right. It was a nice day. They got some ice cream, whatever it is. They're walking around enjoying the city. And then they stumble upon a $100 bill on the ground. People call that dumb luck, coincidence, or anything else. We're creating our world. I don't care what religion you are or are not. We are creating our world. Because in that moment, the universe is like, oh, you're feeling abundance? Here's some. It really is that simple. You have to believe, you have to line up with what you choose. If I choose to have more money, that's not shallow. If I choose to be the best looking person on the beach, that's not shallow. That's my choice. And the universe will line up with it. But if I say I want to have the best bikini body on the beach, and then I say I hate those girls who can eat whatever they want and they're still skinny, I have to starve myself to be skinny. Well, see, now skinny is noisy for me, right? So you have to line up with it. When you see somebody skinnier than you, if that's your choice, instead of being jealous of them, really appreciate that that's inspired you. But again, not your words, how you really feel. I do it to my kids all the time. I tell them, you're so ugly. How did you get so funny looking? But they know it's not what I really mean is, right?
Exactly.
That's funny. Very good. All right. Well, you guys were all over the place today, from law of attraction to Francesca's
intuition, work,
and Sandy's making out with guys and all the stuff in between. So that was very good. was very good.
It's always so nice to you guys. So let's, what would you say of this, how do you find yourself connected to yourself? One sentence each, and then because we heard that our podcast is always 1 hour, we try to do 40 minutes. It's impossible for us. We love talking to each other too much. So Glenino and Sandy, do you want to say it? So, which is the best way for you to be aware of whom you are, to connect to yourself?
What? I don't have a one-line answer for
music.
that.
I have an answer.
I am, thanks to music, to be honest.
That's amazing.
I'm born, by the way.
That's amazing. But one of my podcast episodes on Rockstar Changemaking is all about turning on James Taylor's Something in the Way She Moves. That guitar, his voice, instantly.
Yes, it wakes you up in 1 second, it makes you sleep. In 1 second, it makes you cry, it makes you smile. It's the fastest thing that, more than the smile for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. James Taylor,
So,
Something in the Way She Moves.
The best way to be connected to myself is really, it's not taking an action, it's stopping of another action. For me, to stop complaining. When I don't complain, I'm connected to myself.
Beautiful.
And a simple thing, we all complain way too much.
But because you're then it's positive sometimes to be deep and complain to yourself. That, you know.
Are you complaining, Glenn, when you say we complain too much?
Yes, I am. So when I don't complain, when I'm aware,
you don't like
not to
it
complain,
at all, but
life gets better that quick, and I feel connected that fast.
yeah.
Laws of Life Coaching has been so lovely. I've been reading as you're going. I think she said, rapport, emotion, and regenerative takeaways for today. Thank you, and thank you. As you guys write in, we're seeing it. We're seeing it. So.
See, what?
Yeah.
Give it every day, or at least I try. I'm sure the masters do the same. So no perfection and more depth. Yes.
So this is the Three Ways podcast. It's on all the podcast platforms. It's also on YouTube. This morning I uploaded last week's, so it's there. And we are going to be here for a couple more weeks and then taking August off, which is a great opportunity for you guys to go back and catch up on episodes that you've missed.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, the YouTube channel's doing really nice. I saw that, and I also added a bunch more to mine from that just a little bit ago. So it's very good. So yeah, take your month of August and replay, and then we'll come back with some more stuff.
Yeah, but we'll be here. Yeah. All right.
Yeah,
I love you guys.
You too.
I love you.
See all of you soon.
Even if online, we never have limits. Bye bye. Ciao.